ጃንሆይ ነው ያሰሩት። አሰርተው ከጨረሱ በኋላ ንግስት ኤልሳቤጥ መጣ ከእሳቸው ጋር ነው የመረቁት። የተመረቀው ኢናጉሬትድ በአምስተኛ ክፍል ያለው። በኋላ በአመቱ ጃንሆይ እንደገና ወደ አክሱም መጡ። በመኪና በአውሮፕላን ሳይሆን በመኪና መጡ። በተንቤን አድርገው እንደዚህ ወደ አክሱም መጡ እና ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ ልብስ አለበሱን ለሁላችን ሸሚዝና ሱሪ። በዛን ጊዜ ያንግና ትልቅ ሱሪ ይሄ ትልቅ ቦላዴ ይባላል እና እኔ ቁምጣ ነው የነበረኝ አጭር ሾርት እና አይ ዋንት ቱ ሃቭ እንትን ለና በዛን ጊዜ ለመጀመሪያ ጊዜ በሳቸው ለበስኩ። ማረሳው ማለት ያለብሱን ነበር። ብር ይሰጡናል፣ አንዳንድ ዶላር ኒው ብር ይሰጡሻል መንገድ ላይ እና ጃንሆይ በተለይ አክሱም የውጭ መንግስታት ሲመጡ ሐውልቱን ታሪኩን ለማሳየት ሁሉ ጊዜ ይዘዋቸው ይመጣሉ ወደ አክሱም እና ጃንሆይ ሲመጡ በቃ ብር ታገኛለሽ፣ ሴቶች ሹራብ ምናምን ይሰጣቸዋል፣ ብርቱካን ምናምን እና የሆነ ብስኩት ምናምን ይሰጥሻል። እንደዚህ አይነት ትሪትመንት ነበር እና ኤምፐረር ቸርቹን ሰሩ፣ የአክሱም ሆስፒታሉን ሰሩ፣ አዲስ ትምህርት ቤትን ሰሩ ለአክሱም ራሳቸው። አሁን እኔ አክሱም ሰው ሁኜ ጃንሆይ ልጠላ አልችልም። ያደኩት ስንት ነገር አይቼ ነው ያደኩት። በማስረጃ ነው የምናገራለሁ። this is what he did for us። እናያቸው ነበር እንደዚህ ሌላ ቦታ የማይታዩ እንደዚህ በቃ እግራቸው ስንሄድ ነበር አክሱም። እኔ ብዙ ጊዜ ገጥሞኛል። ይሄ ሆኖ እንግዲህ 8ኛ አልቆ አሁን ወደ መቀሌ ማናውቀው ቦታ። አሁን አንድ ነገር ትግራይ የሚባል ቦታ አንተዋወቅም። ከአጋሜ አድግራት ማለት ከአድግራት ወደ አክሱም ሰው አይመጣም። for what purpose? በምንም አይመጣም። ለገበያ አይመጣም፣ ለትምህርት ቤት አይመጣም፣ ለምንም አይመጣም። ማጨው እንደ ይሄ ራያ ማለት ነው። እሱ ከነጨራሹ አናቃቸው። ከመቀሌ ወደ አክሱም የሚያስመጣ ነገር የለም። ቢያስመጣ በአድሚኒስትሬሽን በሆነ በኋላ አሁን ኦፊሻልስ ምናምን ሊመጡ እንደሆነ እንጂ ኢቭን መጋባት ትዳር ሜሪጅ እያንዳንዱ ሰው ከአካባቢው ነው የሚጋባው። የአክሱም ከሆነ የአክሱም፣ የአድዋ ከሆነ የአድዋ እንጂ ግንኙነት የለን። አሁን ይሄ የብሔር የሚባል ኮንሰፕት ብሔር ኔሽን ኮምፕሊትሊ ሮንግ ነው። a nation to be a nation ኢኮኖሚክ ኢንቴግሬሽን መኖር አለበት፣ ማርኬት መኖር አለበት፣ ሰዎች እርስ በርሳቸው መገናኘት አለባቸው። ይሄ this happened in Europe national movement late 19th century early 20th century የተጀመረው ጣሊያን በናሽናሊዝም አዲስ ናሽናሊዝም ተገኝቶ ነው ተዋህዳ አንድ ጣሊያን የተፈጠረችው በ19th century የጀርመን አውስትሪያ የምናምን እንደዚህ። ይሄ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ግን ከጥንት ጀምሮ ሁሉ 90 በዛን ሰዓት in my time at least 95% of the population ምንድነው ገበሬ ነው። ገበሬ ከቦታው አይንቀሳቀስ ምን ሊያደርግ መኪና አይሳፈር ሁሉ ጊዜ ከእርሻውና ከምናምን በቃ ዛስኖሮ አንዳንዴ ወደ ከተማ ምናምን ለመግዛት ይመጣ እንደሆነ እንጂ ገጠር እንደዛ ነውና የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ በየቦታው ሆኖ ኢትዮጵያ ይላሉ። ሁሉ በየቦታው ሆኖ አገሩ ምንድነው ኢትዮጵያ። እናቴ አዲስ አበባ ታቀም ጅማ ታቀም ግን ለሷ አገሯ ኢትዮጵያ። it's here በቃ እዛ ነው።
Yeah, I think that's what's the most interesting part of when you see people ahun searu, like some things are just kind of seen as obvious, which is the idea of Tigrayan being so different from the rest of Ethiopia. It's talked about as if that's just how it is. But I think it's so interesting that there was a time where this construct that we see did not exist. in one of our conversations that we've talked about this, 1941 is when a region called Tigray even was created, right?
Yeah.
But the identity of Tigrayan being different started when? I mean, everything you're describing sounds, you know, it didn't sound like there was any real difference in terms of how the leaders actually dealt with people in the different regional administrations, like you said, not Tigray as a region, because it wasn't really, it didn't operate that way then, but just these regional administrations as not connected to ethnicity, right?
Never እንደዛ ነበር አሁን 1941 ይሄ ከሰከንድ ወርልድ እየተካሄደ ያለ ማለት ነው the war was going on in Europe but already the Italians were I mean the Italian occupation was already over so he started to structure the country in a new way modern way so he created 12 regions 12 in total not 14 12 then Harar was so big he created another region from Harar called and that region used to go Bali region then they became 13 at that time Eritrea was still under the British rule after the Italians left it was under British protectorate the United Nations I think that was it was decided by the United Nations all Italian former colonies to stay under Britain and France all of this kind of thing so it was under English ያኔ ወደ ኢትዮጵያ አልገባችምና ከገባች በኋላ 14 ጠቅላይ prior to that there was no Tigray የሚባል ግዛት administration ይሁን whatever Tigray የሚባል የለም Tigray የሚባለው በሌላው ናን Tigray ሆነ ኢትዮጵያዊ ትግርኛ የሚያወራውን ሰሜን ያለውን Tigray ይሉታል እነሱ ነው የሚጠሩት እንደዛ Tigray Ethiopians anyone who speaks Tigrinya is Tigray no distinction between Eritrea and from Tigray ከመቀሌ ይምጣ ከአስመራ for them for the rest of Ethiopia the Tigrinya speaking are Tigray that's how we got the name of the region Tigray Eritrea already gone so they called this region Tigray but it didn't include Wolkait that's the most important here when this region was restructured and what constitutes Tigray only 8 districts 8 auraja they used to call them 8 aurajas Maichau Inderta Tembien ክልተ አውላዕሎ ወይ ሙቅሮ ይባላል አጋሜ አድዋ አክሱም ሽሬ ይሄ ነው 8 አውራጃ ትግሬ የሚባል በቃ ሌላ ነገር አናቅ ወልቃይት ሳሙኤል ትግርኛ ሊያወራ ይችላል there could be Tigrayan names elsewhere but they were not part of it so we have 3 districts in Eritrea Akalaguzai Sarai and Hamasin these are all Tigrinya speaking but they are not Tigray they are Eritrea Somalia we have Somali part in Ethiopia the Somali people and there is greater Somalia nation a country we have Somali people in Ethiopia there is Somalia country as well so even though they have the same religion same language the identity I mean the agar the nation part of the nation የሆነ Somalia part of the nation የሆነ Tigray አለ ይሄ ሌላ ጉዳይ ነገሩ ግን ኔሽን ትርጉሙ ኔሽን what did they get the TPLF how did they ወደዛ እንመጣለን አሁን ወደ ናሽናሊዝም የኔ አባት አያቴ የትም ቦታ ሲያወሩ ስለ ኢትዮጵያ እንጂ ትግራይ ከአፋቸው ሲወጣ ሰምቼ አላውቅም። ትግራይ የሚባል አገር ከአፋቸው ወጥቶ አያውቅም። እኛ ከየት አመጣን? የሆኑ disgruntled individuals ናቸው። disgruntled like መምህር ገረኺዳን ደስታ known nationalist who just died a few months ago. ገረኺዳን ደስታ he wrote several books about other things, but lately the last 2-3 years ትግሬ ብሔረተኝነት አነሳስቶ የሆኑ ሁሉ ወጣት ትግራይ ውስጥ ያለው ትግራይ እንዲል ያደረገው ከፎልስ ኔሽን ነው። ከፎልስ ነገር ከራሱ ጉዳይ ፐርሰናል ጉዳይ ነው። ግን ወደ 9ኛ ክፍል እንመለስ። 9ኛ ክፍል እንደገባን ሁሉም ተማሪ ከየክፍላ መተን አንድ ክፍል ገባን ማለት ልክ እንደ ዩኒቨርሲቲ እንደሚሄድ ማለት የኔ ክላስሜት በዛን ሰዓት ማይ ክላስሜት ጻድቃን the chief of staff, the guy who's leading the TDF, ጻድቃን was my classmate. C.A. Abra, have you heard of him?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, he was my classmate. Same class. Another አየር ኃይል አዛዥ የነበረ አሁን አሜሪካ መጥቷል። አበበ ጆቤ ይባላል። Just to mention some, this is in the evidence ለአድማጮቹ ነው የምነግራቸዋለሁ። በዛን ጊዜ እኔ the same እንትን እንደነበርን የቲፒኤልኤፍ መሪ የሆኑ በሙሉ the same ነው ነበር። አሁን እነ አባይ ፀሐዬ አንድ ክፍል ከኛ ቀድመዋል። ጎብራ አስራት በእኛ 9ኛ ነው ኮመርስ ነው የሚማረው። አሁን ጎብራ አስራት የሚባል ፕሬዚደንት የትግራይ የነበረ ነው። አሁን የወጣ አረና ምናምን ብሎ የሚል እንትን ማለት እሱ እዛ ነው። አሁን ሁላችን ኤግዛምፕል ሰጥቻለሁ ማለት እኛን በሙሉ ወደዚህ ያስገባን ማን ነው? አበበ ተሰማ እና ደስታ በዛብህ የሚባሉ ከአዲስ አበባ ዩኒቨርሲቲ በናሽናል ሰርቪስ ምንድነው ሰርዲር ከጨረሱ በኋላ ለአንድ አመት አገልግሎት የሚባል አለ። ለአገልግሎት ይሄዳሉ። በየትምህርታቸው በየቦታው ያስተምራሉ። ይሄን ሊያደርጉ ነው አበበ ተሰማ ደስታ በዛብህ የመጣ። አበበ ተሰማ የታሪክ አስተማሪ ሆኖ ለኛ ተመደበ ታሪክ። ደስታ በዛብህ ግን መዛገጃ ቤት ነው የሚሰራው። አስተማሪም አልነበረም። ኳስ ይጫወታል ምናምን። ጓደኞች ናቸው። እነዚህ ብሔረተኞች ሆነዋል ሁለቱ። አሁን ይሄ አበበ ተሰማ ሂስትሪ አስተማሪ ተብሎ ወደኛ ክፍል አካዳሚ መጣና የትግራይ የአክሱም ታሪክ ነው ማስተምራችሁ ይላል። እንዳ ደነገጥ። ምክንያቱም ከሪከለም ውስጥ ያለ ይሄ ሄድ ማስተሩ ይሄ ዳይሬክተሩ አበበ አስራት የሚባለው ዳይሬክተሩ ያስቀመጠን ማትሪክ አልፈን ዩኒቨርሲቲ ለመግባት ነው። ለዛ ነው ፕሪፐር የሚያደርገን ያለ። ይሄ ከከሪከለም ውጭ ትግራይ ታሪክ ብሎ ካስተማረገን እና ተቃወም ነው እንዴ? ከሪከለም ለምኛ ከማትሪክ ልታስተለን ነው። he continued ስለማ ቀጠለ። እኔ ይሄ ሜሶፖታሚያ ኢጂፕት ቻይና ታሪክ ያገራችሁን አስተምራችሁ ብሎ ጀምረና በኋላ እንግዲህ ልጆች ነን 14-15 አመት ነን እና ስሜት እያደረብን መጣ። የአክሱም እንደዚህ ታሪክ እንደዚህ ነበር። በቃ ቢግ የኛ እንደዚህ ዳውን የሆነው ወደ ሸዋ ስለሄደ የኛ መንግስት ከኛ ወደ ሸዋ ስለሄደ በቃ እንደዚህ ሆነን ቀረን ታች ሆነን ቀረን ምናምን ብሎ he steered.
I think something that doesn't come up enough is like like all of you, even the people that are that we talk about, now, I mean, they've done a lot of wrong, but you guys were kids, right? Asarat Asram Mistamed. So
Asarat Asram. Bibeza Gora Asrat maybe Asra Sidis beyond, I don't know. Back at the Ndezan. ሁላችን ልጆች ነን መጣን የትግራይ ብሎ አነሳሳ። ከዛ እሱ ብቻ አይደለም አሁን የትግራይ ባህል መፈጠር አለበት ብሎ እዚህ ትምህርት ቤት የትግራይ ባህል የያውራጃችሁ የማጨው ባህል የአክሱም ባህል የቴምቤን ባህል ምናምን ጨዋታ ባህላችሁ ታሳያላችሁ ተብሎ እንግዲህ ልጆች ነን ይሄን ጨዋታ ደስ ይለናል ኦኬ ብለን ጨዋታው ተጀመረ። it was nice, it was beautiful። ከቴምቤን ጨዋታ የቴምቤን አሁን አውሩስ የሚባል ጨዋታ ይሄ እንደዚህ ያል የሚሉ for the first time ያኔ
wow, there's something about it. There's something about the language, the music, some of the cultural practices. It gets to you. It really does. Like even I talk about how the word Tagararai, if you really listen, it's saying killer, but they've romanticized it in the music and everything else that I've been dancing to music like that until I started to think. So you guys started to feel good, right? Like the music's involved, also indoctrinating. Music can be really powerful if you're not aware of what it's doing to you. So they're telling you La Majamera Gaze, this Aksumite history is Tigray's history, not just Ethiopia's history, right? Yes, and that and what else? What were the other kind of things that were making you guys feel?
The other thing is at Minilik, Yohannes Mengis, ከጣሊያን ከጠላቶች ጋር ተሻርከው የኛን መንግስት ምኒልክ ወሰደው ሸዋ ወሰዱት። ከዛ ሸዋኛን መጨቆን ጀመረ። ይሄ ነው የሚያስቆጣ የሚያናድድ ነገር ነው። አሁን this was between the governors, not between the people. The people had nothing to do with this. All in those days, it is the governors that they fight for a thing. They fight for to be the
power. Yeah.
The power, yeah. እና ግን አሁን አፄ ዮሐንስ ይሄ አበበ የምናረገው የትግራይ ያረገው አፄ ዮሐንስ ወሰ የኢትዮጵያ አፄ ዮሐንስ ወሰ የኢትዮጵያ እንዲያውም he built that palace in Mekelle, but most of his time he spent, they told me, in Devra Tower in Gondar. He had a small palace in Devra Tower. I think it's still there. He used to spend his time there most of the time. He simply built that palace in Mekelle. He didn't stay, he didn't spend time much there. So this guy was king of kings. This Nugus was king of Nugus. So he was not Nugus of Tigray only. He was the king of kings. He was the emperor of the country called Ethiopia. All the Nuguses, Nugus Minilik, Nugus Tekle Haymanot of Gojam, and the other rulers, they all were his subordinate, his chiefs, yes. And now, ምንድነው ኖርማሊ succession ሲኖር የትሮን succession, the emperor will give his thing to his son. So I think as Johannes, he told his people to follow Ras Mengesha. He's supposed to be his son. I don't know if he was his real son. Some say he's the son of his brother, whatever, but he was the successor, but he couldn't get it. Minilik became more powerful for so many reasons. They would do anything to get the power. So I think he was helped by the Italians, by the British, so many diplomatic. It's normal to do this kind of thing, to stay in power or to seize power. So ይሄ አስቆጣው። ይሄ እንደነ አበበ እና አበበ እንደ ላይክስ ደስታ በዛብህ። አሁን በዚህ ደግሞ ዋናው ምንድነው ኤርትራ ትግል ጀመሩ። ለነጻነት ትግል ጀመሩ። በቃ እንደዚህ ያደረጉ ይሰማል። እኛ ያንግና አሁን we have Eritrean friends in the high school. The Eritrean, they came to study there. Maybe they had relatives in Mekelle or whatever. We had some Eritreans. I remember በቃ እኛን ለይተው አይዘው ታርገው ለርሳቸው ይሾካሸካሉ በኋላኛ ይሰማልና እነሱ ጎብዘው በቃ እየተታኮሱ ነው እኛ ግን አንታኮስም ያለነው ግን የኛ አባቶች በጣም ጀግኖች ነበሩ ተሰማን ይሄ ኮምፕሌክስ ማለት የኛ ጀግኖች ራስ ምናምን ይትግራይ እናንተ የጣሊያን የነበራችሁ ምናምን ላችሁ እንዲያውም እንደ ቢያፍራ እናረጋቸዋለን ቢያፍራ
Biafra in Nigeria?
Nigeria.
Oh wow, yeah. Okay, yeah. How did they connect it?
At that time it was in the news Biafra secessionist movement led by General Ojukwu. It was a very so the emperor tried him in fact to reconcile but he didn't succeed. But finally the general in General Yakubu Gowon, I remember, yeah. He's the one who he crushed them. He crushed the Biafra, that's it. So we used to tell the Eritreans, we're going to do that to you. አረፋችሁ ግን አሁን እኛን የሚያነሳሳ ደግሞ ምክንያት አገኘ we get a cause now Aksumite Empire አፄ ዮሐንስ ምናምን እኛ እንዲያውም ወልደ አብ the father of the revolution the Eritrean revolution the father his name is ወልደ አብ ወልደ ማርያም was a rebel we have similar rebels now in Ethiopia and Addis Ababa. That guy was a rebel, just born a rebel who doesn't agree with anything. All of his friends they agreed and brought Eritrea to be part of Ethiopia. He was the only one who left the country. He was given the passport. They gave him the passport. He can go. He went to Sudan, and then Egypt took him. Egypt. They opened a radio station for him to talk about Eritrean independence. Not only that, people used to tell us, no, this guy, he's from Aksum. His parents. He simply grew up in Asmara. Otherwise, he's from Aksum. From Aksum, a place called Ad-Dakhilte. So he is not only talking about Eritrea, he's talking about Tigray, Tigrini. That was the right name for the people who speak Tigrinya in Eritrea and Tigray. It used to be called Tigray, Tigrini. Not Tigray, Tigrini. Meaning all the people that speak Tigrinya up to the Red Sea. So
okay, that was the name used for everybody that spoke
for
Tigrinya.
Everybody, yeah, in the north. Speaks Tigray, Tigrini. Now there is no more Tigray, Tigrini because Eritrea is now under the Italians, now under the British. So the rest didn't have any name. So the emperor, when they started the structuring, they gave it a Tigray name. Tigray ጠቅላይ ግዛት. They just chose the name, the name of their language, Tigray, and that's the name of the region, Tigray ጠቅላይ ግዛት. Prior to that, ትግራይ የሚባል ማን ነው? ከእንትጮ ወደ አድዋ ያለው ቦታ ማይቀነጣል ምናምን ትጮ የሚባሉ እነሱ the rest Tigrayans like Agame, like Tembian and Derta, they used to call that place, those people that come from Inticho, Adwa, Tigray. So it's a small part of present Tigray. And Inya, Kaksum, Minilachwalan, all of them, Agame Mium and Derta Miun, La'ala Hager Nulat. La'ala Hager, La'ala is something.
Something up there, like
yeah. Nothing. There was no identity, common identity for all of them. Each one has its own identity. In Derta, it's Agame especially. Very strong identity. That Agame thing is very, very, very strong. All people who come from that area Where do you come from? From Agami. Agami.
Interesting. I think the idea of manufacture identities is interesting. You know, it's just when you split the hair and you realize, I mean, even now you have Ethiopians, Eritreans coming together when there were so many, they've been through so many issues where they're on the opposite side of things. And now they realize they have more in common in terms of the goals in the region. So they've sort of come together, right, in a way. So you had this Addis Tigray Bacha Tarik that they started to teach in schools. You have the Eritreans that were fighting, they were there in that region, but had, you know, family members that were fighting for liberation that were taunting you now, saying, hey, you speak Tigrinya too, but you're not like Jagnoch like us, or however the language works with it, right? So you have those two pressures. And then when did the concept of, and you know, Amharas as a separate thing and an obstacle to Tigrayans, how did that form?
Yeah, so they say they didn't at that time. They used to say Shoa only. Shoa. Do you know Shoa? Have you? Shoa
Yeah, it's like a district, a king's district,
Shoa,
right? There's a Shoa king.
Your Shoa region is the Devra Brahan, where the emperor came from. Emperor Minilik, that's the Shoa dynasty. So the Shoa took power, but the TPLF came and did mischief, fraud. What is that fraud? Okay. They brought this nationality concept that was written by Joseph Stalin of Russia. Joseph Stalin wrote about this national question at that in his time. The reason was because Georgia, this Ukraine, all the other republics were under the Russians. So he called the Russians, Stalin in his book, chauvinists. He called them chauvinists. And the small, from those who come from the small, they call them narrow nationalists. So because what happened was many of the bright students in the university, even in Tigray, they prefer to be members of the EPRP, Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Party, because they didn't see anything in this Tigray Liberation Front, so they were ridiculing it. If you have a friend who became, he doesn't want even to talk to you. Those are the brightest of the bright. The only bright students that went to TPLF are the only ones that you see them now. Some are dead. The leaders who didn't die, they didn't die, all of them, except some of them. Abai Tsahaye, Meles Zenawi, Siye, Abebe, Tzadkan, and the likes, like Mulgeta Chaltu, all those, they are the only ones who went at that time. Nobody followed them after that. No one who followed. They forced the peasants to put up the arms. They forced them because what did እንግዲህ ከዚህ ወደዛ እየሄድኩ ነው። አምሃራ ከየት መጣ? አሁን እንዴት ብለን ነው የምንታገለው? የፒአርፒ ሃየር ሌቨል ነው የሄደው ኮሚኒስት ለሁሉም ዲሞክራቲክ ኮሽንስ ሶልቭ አደርጋለሁ ብሎ የተደራጀ ነው። አሁን እኛ በሙሉ ኮሚኒስት አይዲዮሎጂ ነው የሚሸከመው ያለ የኛን ኮሽን how do we incorporate the communist struggle በሚል national question ስታሊን ጽፏል። So we have the right to wage a struggle, a communist struggle. But a national struggle as a form and content የሚል አመጡ የነሱ ሌኒን አለ ፎርም ኢንፎርም በፎርም ታክቲካል ነው ፎር ታክቲካል ሪዝንስ ናሽናል ብሔራዊ ጥያቄ ናሽናል ኮሽን ሶ አመጡና ይሄ የሶቪየት ዩኒየን ኮፒ ያደረጉ እና ሾቪኒስት ማን ይሁን አምሃራ ይሁን እንደ ራሻ
I was just gonna say, as soon as you said chauvinist, that's what came to mind.
Chauvinist, የማይመለከተው እኮ ነው Russia, as you see them now, they were the I mean the most powerful. I mean they were the upper thing of the whole Soviet Union, on top of the other people. So if Stalin calls them chauvinists, maybe it's true. But how come you call Amhara a chauvinist? What did how did they behave? I mean, I don't tell you, 90% of Ethiopian population at that time is peasant. Now we have the 10% scattered all over the small town at you, village at you. አሁን ነው የከተሞቹ ከተማ የመሰሉት እንጂ ከተማው እንደ ገጠር ነው አዲስ አበባ ግማሹ ገጠር ነው ግማሹ ከተማ ነው እና ይሄ ከዛው አካባቢ እንግዲህ ግምት ውስጥ የሚያገባው አራት ጠቅላይ ግዛት አማራ የሚባል ማለት ነው ግን አማራ ብቻ አይደለም ፓወር የነበረው የትግሬ ባላባቶች በጣም ፓወርፉል ነበሩ ግዛት ነበራቸው ኢኳሊ ላይክ ዲያማ ይገዛሉ በየቦታው ግን ይሄ ማጭበርበሩ ማወራሽ ማጭበርበር ኮፒ ፓስት ማድረግ ማለት የራሻውን አምጥተው ሾቪኒስት አማራ ነው ያለው ይሄ ሌላው ደግሞ ናሮ ናሽናሊስት እንደ ትግራይ ናሽናል ግን ይሄን ናሮ ናሽናሊዝም እንዳይፈጠር እኛ እንታገላለን we are fighting only against the chauvinist Amhara chauvinist because chauvinist ናቸው ይሄን ፊውዳል ሲስተም የሚደግፉ እንዲኖር እንዲቆይ they want it to stay because it benefits so they are getting benefits they are the primary beneficiaries of this feudal system በሚል ነው false narration everyone power ነበር አሁን ስናየው everyone had his own piece ግዛት every ባላባት ራስ መንገሻ ነገርኩሽ ሙሉ ትግራይ ባለሙሉ ስልጣን ገዢ ናቸው የጎጃም እንደዛ የጎንደር እንደዛ የወለጋ እንደዛ ምናምን ሁሉም የራሳቸው እንጂ አማራ በተለየ ነገር የለም ግን እነዚህ እንዴት ብለን ከኤፒአርፒን እንዴት እንትን ናሽናል ኮሽን ተራ አሁን ንግግር ተጀመረ ከኤፒአርፒ ጋር why don't you ከኛ ጋር ለምን አትሆኑም አሏቸው ኤፒአርፒ እኛ ይሄ እናንተ ጥያቄ እኮ under the communist struggle solved የሚሆን ነው የሴቶች ጥያቄ አለ የብሔረሰብ ጥያቄ አለ የወዳደር ጥያቄ አለ የምናምን ጥያቄ አለ ሁሉ ኮሚኒስት ሲሆን ሁሉ ነገር አንድ ላይ ነው እናንተ ለምን የራሳችሁ ኦርጋናይዝ ኢንዲፔንደንስ ፈለጋችሁ አይ ከናንተ ጋር መዝናካ አንችልም የሆነ ኤክስኪውዝ ይሰጣቸዋል ግራ ገባቸው ፒአርፒ አሁን ሁሉም ፒአርፒ ሌላ ደግሞ አለ ኢዲዩ የሚባል ኢዲዩ ኢትዮጵያን ዲሞክራቲክ ዩኒየን የሚባል ደግሞ ኢትዮጵያዊ የሆነ ድርጅት አለ በጣም እንትን ደግሞ ይሄን ደርግ የሚዋጋ የገንስ ደርግ እነሱ ጠቅላላ እንትን ናቸው ኮሚኒስት አይደሉም ምንም አይደሉም ለዲሞክራሲ ለሀገር አንድነት for the unity and democracy in the country ነበር የሚታገሉት ከነሱ ጋር ደግሞ ቲፒኤልኤፍ ጦርነት እነሱን this is around the Shire area if you know it Shire and the Selassie area that area was a stronghold of the Idi so ዛይዶ ተዋጉ አሸንፈው ነው እነዛ አስተው ሄደው ነው አላቅም ብቻ ተቆጣጣሩት ቢለ አሁን ኢፒአርፒ ደግሞ በዚህ አጋሜ ነው አሲምባ የሚባል ስትራቴጂክ ቦታ ነው የመረጡት ምክንያቱም all liberation movements they wanted to be close to the Eritrean fronts because to protect them to run away if something happens from here they can easily run to retreat to Eritrea and there are forces in Eritrea they can support them so the APRP chose Tigray as its I mean they were the thing so ክላሽ ተፈጠረ ከቲፒኤልኤፍ አሁን ብዙ ወጣት ተማሪ ወደ ኢፒአርፒ ሲሆን ኢፒአርፒ እዚህ ትግራይ መሆን የለበትም መውጣት አለባቸው ብለው አስወጧቸው በውጊያ ሸሽተው ትተው ሄደው ኢፒአርፒ ወዴት ሄዱ ወደ ወልቃይት በዚህ አድርገው በኤርትራ በኩል አድርገው ወደዛ ሄዱ አሁን ቲፒኤልኤፍ ትግራይን ተቆጣጠረ አሁን ትግራይ አሁን ስሜት መጣ በቃኛ ጀግኖች ቲፒኤልኤፍ can beat anyone ቲፒኤልኤፍ በቃ ቲፒኤልኤፍ all every ወታደራዊ ሰክሰስ ጌይን አለው በቃ በወጣቱ በቲኔጀሩ ሃይ ስኩሉ ምናምን ትላልቅ ሰዎች ወላጆቻቸው ግራ ገብቷቸዋል ምንድነው የሚያደርጉት ትላልቅ አባቶቻችን ምንድነው የሆናችሁ እናንተ ምን ለማድረግ ነው እንዴት ትግራይ ትነጥላላችሁ ኢትዮጵያ እኮ ነን እኛ ከወላጆቻችን ጋር በምንም ልንስማማች በኋላ ሰጡ አሁን ቲፒኤልኤፍ በሙሉ ትግራይ ተቆጣጠረ አሁን ሁለት ጊዜ ነገርኩሽ አምሃራ ለምን ጠሉ ሸዋ ተባለ ሸዋ ነው እንግዲህ የዳይናስቲው የሸዋን ዳይናስቲ ሸዋን መጥላት ትቻለሽ ሸዋን መቃወም ለአፄ ዮሐንስና አፄ ምኒልክ ሆነ ከሸዋ ጋር ነው እንጂ ከመላው አማራ ከጎንደሩ ከወሎ ጋር ከጎጃሙ ጋር የለም ግን ያንን የስታሊን ቲዮሪ የስታሊን ጽሁፍ እንትን ለማድረግ አምጥተው እዚህ እንትን ለማድረግ እና ሾሚኒስት ማን ይሆን አማራ ሌላ ማለት በቃ ሾሚኒስት የገነ ሾሚኒስትስ ትምክት ታውቂያለሽ ትምክት ማለት do you understand
oh no what's ትምክት
ትምክት በአማራ በእንግሊዝኛ
ትምክት
just you always think you are on top of everybody you are the top
oh that's what they were saying about the
Amhara
yeah so too small but
90% ገበሬ አማራ ምንድነው ላይ የሚሰማው
right most of the people were farmers and that included people that spoke 90%. Different languages so did you guys speak did people speak Amharic in like in Mekelle and different parts of the north in 1970 at least the educated ones or did everyone speak did you guys all only speak
everyone including my mom she listens Amharic she didn't go to school she knows Amharic from grade 1 እኔ ዲቤት እናደርጋለን በቃ ትግርኛ መጻፍ ራሱ ያስቀናል ትግርኛ እነዚህ ኤርትራ ናቸው ትግርኛ የሚጽፉ እና እንስቃለን ትግርኛ ይጽፋል በትግርኛ የሚጻፍ ባይመስል እኛ አማርኛ ነው በቃ አማርኛ as our own language የራሳችን ቋንቋ ምክንያቱም ቸርች ውስጥ ነው ቤተ መንግስት ነው የተፈጠረው ድሮ ምክንያቱም አፄ ዮሐንስ ራሳቸው አፄ ዮሐንስ himself Amharic was the language of administration official language during his time
that's interesting and then so if your mom even understood there was no like because one of the things that is used is that we weren't even allowed to speak our own language which I've talked to several people that said that that's not true in schools it was Amharic
lie fraud ነገርኩሽ እኮ አተዚ ማጭበርበር በሙሉ አሁን የሚያሳዩት ማጭበርበር የቆየ ነው it came all the way till now everything we sort አሁን genocide ይላል ዛሬ What's ተመልከች ምክንያቱም I told you why genocide became the reason for intervening in a suffering country. I told you, when was that? 2000.
Yeah, it was I think 2004, 2005, and they said they connected to what happened in Rwanda, but of course it's been weaponized for all the wrong reasons since. We saw it in Syria. Anytime they don't like a government or a government's not falling in line, they blame genocide when they're fighting insurgents. It's just kind of, I didn't realize how common it was. So what about Amhara as an ethnicity? Was the word Amhara even used much before then, besides to refer to the Amharic? And then the kings were Shoa, right? Was Amhara used as an ethnicity? Because it's used to kind of make everybody that speaks Amharic ethnic Amharas. And I've heard people say, I don't identify as Amhara just because I speak Amharic.
No, that's okay. I told you, even people in Aksum, they don't have any connection with people in Agame. I told you. There is no connection with Ndarta, with worse, more so with Macho. Macho, Raya, Alabasacho, Yetalan. For the first time, I go to high school, make a to know. ራያ የሚባል ግንኙነት የለም ሊባ አለውን ከጎጃም ከጎንደር ጋራ ልትተዋወቂ ለትኖ people who live in Gondar or Gojam or Shoa, you don't even know people just near you. አርባ መቀሌት ይሄ ነገር የለም። አማርኛ የሚናገራለ አማርኛ መናገር ማለት የኤሊት ቋንቋ ነው። ትግራይ ውስጥ በተለይ ኤሊት የተማረ ከሆነ ልክ አሁን እንግሊዝኛ የኤሊት ቋንቋ እንደሆነ አሁን እንግሊዝኛ መናገር ማለት ኤሊት አዋቂ ምናምን ትባያለሽ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ትጂ እዚህ it doesn't matter anybody can talk in the street, right? አማርኛ መናገር የኤሊት ምክንያቱም እሱ ነው ሚዲየም ኦፍ እንትን የዲቤት የምትናገሩ ፍርድ ቤት ስትሄጂ የትም ቦታ ስትሄጂ የምትከራከሪውና ቶፕ አውትስታንዲንግ የአማርኛ ሊቃውንት አዋቂዎች የትግራይ ሰዎች ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ አዲስ አበባ ብትሄጂ ጸሐፊ ማን ነው ይገሌ አገሩ የት ነው አድዋ ወይ አክሱም ወይ ሰም ትግራይ ቶፕ እኔ ማትሪክ 3 ማትሪክ አማርኛ ከባድ ነው ማትሪክ በእኛ ጊዜ ደርሰት composition መጻፍ አለብሽ ምናምን እና ሁሉ መጻፍ ምናምን አለብሽ not only objective type of question ብቻ አይደለም you have to write article ምርጫ ይሰጥሻል I got a B is like unheard of for a Tigray በግሪ አሁን ችግር የነበረው ኤርትራ ያሉት ናቸው ኤርትራ ወደ ኢትዮጵያ ከመጣ በኋላ አማርኛ ችግር ነበረባቸው እነሱ ነበሩ በትግርኛ የሚማሩ እኛንም ማርም ትግርኛ ሬዲ ኩል እናደርጋለኛ ትግርኛ ስትሰጥ ደብዳቤ I'm telling you ደብዳቤ የሚጽፍ ትግሬ የለም ማን ከለከለው
That is just so interesting. I mean, just the framework is so different. The other thing that I want to explore a little more is the idea that your parents' generation were watching you guys, I mean, basically like kill other organizations that are opposition and saying what is happening. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I mean, I imagine there were parents that were, where their kids weren't coming back, or somebody wasn't coming back and that was bringing up questions. What was the conversation? I mean, many yaluna but like TPLF to people around them that are asking, because is why didn't people say something early on? TPLF is the agar like kadarasa bohara hulum nagari kabdal to change, right? But Yanne, was there people that were saying, this is not right?
Yes. They became popular when they started it because that area when you win a war, a battlefield, that makes you regardless of what they want, what political thing, the fact that you won, you beat something, it makes you popular into that. The ጀግኖች ናቸው እንደዚህ ያደርጉ this was until the ቀይ ሽብር. Have you heard about this thing? ቀይ ሽብር?
Red terror.
Red terror. Yeah. Red terror. ሬድ ተረር በኋላ ደርግ ሬድ ተረር በኢትዮጵያ ሲደረግ አብዛኛው የፈራ ከከተማ ወደዛ ሄደ ወደ ቲፒኤልኤፍ ጆይን አደረጋቸው that was like a windfall for them ያ ሁሉ ተማሪ ወደዛ ሄደ በአንድ ጊዜ በከነው በቀይ ሽብር በዚህ አደረገ እና ወደዛ ሸሸ ወጣት እና ወላጆች ከሚገደሉ መንገድ ላይ ከሚገደሉ በቃ ቢሄድ ይሻላል ወደ ጓደኞቻቸው የማለት ምርጫ የለም ምርጫው በዚህ ሊገደሉ ነው ሰው በዛ ሄደ ከዛ በኋላ ግን ማልቀስ ነው ወላጅ በሙሉ በዛን ሰዓትኛ ዲስኦቢዲየንት ነበር ወላጆቻችን ከወላጆቻችን የተነጣጠልን ወላጆቻችንን ያላከበርን ከወላጆቻችን ትዕዛዝ የወጣን ኮሚኒስት በኮሚኒስት ያበርን በምናምን ነበርና ምንም ኮሙኒኬሽን የለም በቃ ልጅ የጠፋ በቃ ልጅ እንትናው ሄደ ወደ በረሃ ይባላል በቃ ሀዘን ነው እንደዛ ነው ነበር ቀይ ሽብር እንደዛ ተዛጠፋ ከዛ በኋላ ከተማ የነበረ ሰው ቲፒኤልኤፍ ምናምን ሁለተኛ ልጁ እንዳይልክ ወደ አዲስ አበባ መላክ ጀመረ ወላጅ በሙሉ ሂድ ወደ አዲስ አበባ አይፈልጉም ወደ ቲፒኤልኤፍ completely lost it at that time. I remember Gidey Zaratsan, the guy you interviewed. At one time, that time after that, he told us, I was there, na Zahid, kahum poharar. Ketama yalle his digaf yellenim. Ketama bomulu digafaችን የለም ካሁን በኋላ ገበሬ ነው የምናነሳው የገበሬ ልጅ ገበሬውን ሞቢላይዝ እናደርጋለን ገበሬ ምን ያውቃል ገበሬ የሚያውቀው ነገር የለም እርሻውን ምናምን ነው የሚሰራው አሁን ተወጣቶችና ተሸከም ብለው ጠመንጃ እየወሰዱ በግድ ኮንስክሪፕሽን በግድ እየወሰዱ እዛ እንትን ያደርጓቸዋል ብሬኖች ያደርጓቸዋል ወስደው እዛ ትሬኒንግ ሴንተር ፖለቲካ እንደዚህ ነው ምናምን ብለው ግን አላሏቸው ማምለጫ ኦልተርኔቲቭ የለም አሁን አዲስ አበባ ሲገቡ ያ ሁሉ ገበሬ በሙሉ ገበሬ ነው የከተማ ሰው አለ ያ ሁሉ ፋይተር በሙሉ የገበሬ ነው peasant sons and daughters of the peasants ተማሪ የሚባል ወላጅ ወደዛ እንዳይሄድ አቁሟል እና
must say no to Yohono so was it at the beginning that TPLF couldn't
this was in 70
okay so ከመጀመሪያ ጀምሮ TPLF was having problem getting members from the urban areas because the educated were going with the Ethiopian People Revolutionary Front because that was an Ethiopia cause that was against the communist government but they didn't like divide people right so ከመጀመሪያ ጀምሮ TPLF was recruiting outside of the few founders that were educated they were recruiting all from the farm areas
all ጠቅላላ ከከተማ ቀይ ሽብር ካረገ በኋላ prior to ቀይ ሽብር ስለመጣ በብዛት high school ኮነ ማለት 9ኛ ክፍል 10ኛ 8ኛ ክፍል teenagers እና some teachers ደግሞ school teachers elementary school teachers እዛ ሄዱ ምክንያቱም በዚህ በኩል ደርግ ሊያስራቸው ደርግ መንግስት ኃይለማርያም regime is out there ቀይ ሽብር ይገልሻል
ግን ቀይ ሽብር ከሱ በኋላ አይደለም የሆነው that's why I was wondering is it ቀይ ሽብር is around 77 አይደል
no 7 አሁን በኢትዮጵያ ነው የምቆጥረው ያለው
በኢትዮጵያ ግን
በፈረንጅ የተለክሰው
yeah it's still pre or after TPLF was already formed
okay 67 75 ነው አይደል 75
በፈረንጅ bad with Ethiopia's version of dates
በፈረንጅ እንቁጠራ
በፈረንጅ ይሻላል I think
ኢትዮጵያን ለመስማት ብዬ ነበር ኦኬ 67 ማለት 75 ነው በፈረንጅ 75 75 ጀመሩ
That's true. That's true. Okay. I was thinking of it a little bit more further apart. Okay. Enough?
75 ጀመሩ 76 just ወሬ ነው ትንሽ ወሬ ነው የምትሰሚ እንጂ ትናንሽ ነው የነበሩት
Okay.
ትንሽ ነው የነበሩት 77 አሁን 76 77 78
Okay.
78 ከዛ በኋላ ነው ቀይ ሽብር የተጀመረው
Okay, got it. Yeah, okay. So
now the first 3 years yes they succeeded to convince the young ones the teenagers because ከበሮ መታል ዘፈን አለ ደግሞ አትርሺ ናሽናል እንትን ዘፈን አለ በየቦታው ያዘፈኑ ትግራይ የሚል ዘፈን አለ ትግራይ ሀብና ሐምባሬ follow them ምናምን
Oh, I need to hear that. What's it called?
ብዙ ዘፈን ነው እንግዲህ
Okay, there's more than one. Okay, cuz
በጣም ፖፑላር የነበረው ሀብና ሐምባሬ ክክተለም ሀብና ሐምባሬ ክክተለም ምንስ give me the gun or something to follow them.
Gosh.
Follow them because they are winning over there. They are hearing something about Kidane is there or somebody is there. You know, everyone. If your brother go, then you will follow. Friend, እንደዛ ጓደኛ ከሄደሽ ትሄጃለሽ.
Right. So when did you join and how did they approach you?
Or no, at that time ስሜት ነው በራሳቸው ነው የሚሄዱት ይፈልጓቸዋል እዛ ይወጥና በዛ በረሃ ይፈልጓቸዋል አንዳንድ የሚያገናኙ ልጆች አሉ የሚያገናኙ እንደ ሌዘን እንትን የክላንድስታይን ኦርጋናይዝ ስለሆነ አሉ የሚያገናኙ በዛ ይሄዳል እና the first 3 years እንደዛ ነው የነበረው ከዛ ይሄ ቀይ ሽብር ከነበረ በኋላ ህዝቡ ወጣቱ ፈርቶ በሙሉ ወደ እነሱ ሄደ ያኔ በ79 እኔ ከነበርኩበት ህዛ ወደ መንግስት ስገባ 1979 ማለት ያኔ የቲፒኤልኤፍ ቁጥራቸው all of them all combined not even 1000
So 4 years after they were formed they were still small
even after ማአት የቀይ ሽብር ሄደው ማአት ጦርነት አደረጉ ማአት ሞተዛ 1000 ናቸው
Like, did people just not have, they did not like the idea of being separate from Ethiopia, or was just people realize their ideas are really small-minded, or was there word getting around about the killings they were doing, or did that not happen yet? Pero when they started to really go after EPRP, and then Harinets.
EPRP at the beginning, early on ምክንያቱም አብዛኛው ሃይ ካንተን ያለው ሰው ቲፒኤልኤፍ እና እንትን አይልም በኋላ እነሱ ሚሊተሪ ኦፕሬሽን ከጀመሩ በኋላ ይሄ ተጀመሩ በቃ እንደዚህ ኳረጉ እንደዚህ ገሩ የሆኑ ፖሊሶች እንደዚህ ባንክ ኮሰዱ ምናምን አሁን ይሄን ፋሲኔት የሚያደርግሽ when you're young 15 16 year old bega you just talk look in intercities in inner cities in the United States how do young people own a gun and shoot in cities just like that what do you know this young black people involved in risky business you know at that time you don't know you don't realize that you could die or something no it's just ስሜት አለ በቃ like the ISIS እንዴት ናቸው ISIS
yeah the Islamic State yeah it's I mean it's
just the same cult Cult movement እኮ ነው ናሽናል cult ነው nothing else TPLF ሚት ፈጥራለች ለቲፒኤልኤፍ በቃ ያልሆነውን በቃ የማግኒፋይ ያደረግች እንደዚህ እኮ ናቸው በቃ አረጋው በረው እኮ እንደዚህ ነው እንደዚህ አረገ በቃ ምናምን እንደዚህ ነው በቃ በኋላ they try to confuse the people ቅድም ያነሳሽው ትግራይ ሪፐብሊክ ምናምን የሚባል ነገር እንደዛ አይደለም ለያንግ ነው እንደዛ የሚሉት ለሌላው እኛ ደርግ ነው የምንዋጋው ሁለት ነገር እኛ ለደርግ ነው የምንዋጋው ለአዋቂዎች እና ደርግ ልትዋጋ ከሆነ ከሁሉ ኢትዮጵያ ጋር ለምን አትዋጋም why only ትግራይ አጭበርባሪዎች ናቸው አሁን ይሄ ማጭበርበር ባህሪያቸው ነው ምናወራ ያለው how they started to defraud the people በዚህ ሪፐብሊክ ትግራይ ትግርኝ ከኤርትራ ጋር ፌደራል ታይ እንመሰርታለን አለ እኛ አገር እንሆናለን we can create an artificial harbor በይሄን ዳናኪል ዲፕሬሽን እንትን አለ በዛ በኩል የሆነ ዲፕሬሽን አለ እሱን we will cut the land between this Danakil and the Red Sea and will let the water flow into this and will create this kind of
it's amazing the Gurafur is just on a whole other fantastical level but it appeals to betalay what atwach like they drink that up I see it in the diaspora honim like people that before didn't even talk about being Tigray Ahun like they're just that's everything for them so it works the music the stories where you know make us seem like we're more than human like in the manmos no
look what they're doing in the streets of the USA these young people saying Tigray. What do they know about Tigray? It's fun for them to go to the streets and say, we are Tagaru.
It's crazy. It really is crazy how normalized that kind of speech has become. And I don't know, you know, a lot of people are not allowed to say anything that's different, but I don't know how many people are changing their minds. I mean, they have to see some of this. Andandochu, buzum baihonu.
Compare mitaregibu. የልጆች ናቸው እዚህ አሁን young people born into Tigray families here they are the ones who are leading the demonstration right
yeah I mean they are yes and bizochu andandochu ya TPLF like family members alacho I know that for sure gin likendemetlo this seems very similar to the beginning these educated few or at least, you know, they have access. A lot of them have had access to education abroad. They have their own political agenda, and then Bizochu, like Bimarum, technically, they really are not aware of the fact that they are being used. Nanesu, like they didn't get anything from TPLF, from being Tigrayan, like none of that really mattered. But this small group that has their own agenda is sort of trying to brainwash everybody into thinking as if, hey, hulachin asanano or like struggle, when it's really not everybody's struggle. So it's literally like so similar what's happening.
It is similar. It's easy to persuade to think young be with this kind of thing. Easily steer the minds and that's it. It drives them. You know? Okay, another reason that I forgot to tell you. Tigray was poor. Naturally poor. Why naturally poor? We have drought all the time. We have this locust problem. These two always enter after 5 years or 4 years. It's common. So people were leaving their place, especially the most highly densely populated areas like Agame area. They used to go to find work in Eritrea or to Addis to any Drirawa, the industrial area was the Kaliti from Addis to Harar. They used to go there anywhere to make the life better. So then they started to tell us, look, our people are so oppressed. They are living. They are everywhere. As if I have problem, they are poor, yes, poor. But በጭቆና ነው ጭቆና አማራ መጥቶ ነው ድሃ ያደረገው። ይሄ natural disaster no. So Ethiopia doesn't have the capability, the science, technology. Even till now we have drought. Till now we have the locust. Leave alone those days where no science, no technology, no nothing. So the emperor was getting help from the United States and Canada. I remember my father was a district officer somewhere in one of the Adwa sub-districts. So he used to distribute those, like those trucks that you see them now going to Tigray. Since that time, trucks going to Tigray because there is no sufficient food because of the drought and locusts and all these things. They don't know modern farming. The land is so small to certain families, not enough to feed themselves. So the emperor was getting help from Canada and the United States every year, all the time. I am a witness. My father used to distribute that.
Hey everybody, please support independent journalism based on the truth by going to patreon.com/HermelaTV and becoming a member. Thank you so much for your support.